Okay.
Yeah, but I'm here. I'm blacked out right now because I'm about to do a mitzvah. I'll be listening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello. Tikwa. Hello.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, we don't have anybody new here that needs an introduction, do we?
This part is continuation of last part which we have begun with Materia Medica Pura introductory lecture, and today we will continue further the same Materia Medica Pura.
We have probably about 1,000 hours of potential Materia Medica Pura fun.
yay.
Okay, so a long time ago, it used to be that people did not know the pure action of the medicines. And before homeopathy, they were only known by their historical uses and presumed qualities. So Hahnemann set forth to get all the accurate and peculiar effects known to man by proving data, using healthy people to develop the symptoms in their own bodies and then write it down and record it. When Hahnemann talks about using healthy people only in provings, it does not mean that those people have to be the healthiest people in the whole world. It means that they need to be able to exclude their own chronic symptoms. So anybody with reasonable and tolerable good health can conduct a proving. If somebody has some kind of serious disease that affects many systems, they will have a hard time doing a proving. And anything that is doubtful in a proving is put into brackets. I'm going to read a paragraph from the author's preface. The day of the true knowledge of medicines and the true healing art will dawn when physicians shall trust the cure of complete cases of disease with a single medicinal substance. And then, according to traditional symptoms, they will employ for the extinction and cure of a case of disease whose symptoms they have investigated one single medicinal substance whose positive effects they have ascertained, which can show among these effects a group of symptoms very similar to those presented by the case of disease. As regards to my own experiments and those of my disciples, every possible care was taken to ensure their purity, in order that the true powers of each medicinal substance might be clearly expressed in the observed effects. They are performed on persons as healthy as possible and under as regulated external conditions as nearly as possible alike. So there are regulations that people are supposed to do when they undergo a proving. They're supposed to refrain from certain substances and certain activities that might cause distress and skew the data. So we want the situation to be kind of controlled. You know, somebody has to drop out of a proving if they get really bad news, for example. Okay, so today we are going to look at the schema.
The what?
Schema.
That's a remedy?
Nope. Schema is the arrangement of symptoms.
Oh,
Format. A format of Materia Medica Pura, presentation of Materia Medica Pura.
Hey.
Okay.
Ivona, do you speak German?
Not quite. Why?
No, just wondering, because I know that people in Eastern Europe speak multiple languages. So I thought I'd ask you about German.
No, not quite. Just ein bisschen.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to look at the schema today, where Hahnemann says, I have arranged the symptoms of the more perfectly observed medicines in a certain order, whereby the search for the desired medicinal symptoms will now be facilitated. In the complex symptoms, however, there occur not unfrequently, some to which, if I had time, I would have added parallel citations referring them to their proper position. So some symptoms are complex and are in, let's say, head and neck, or in eyes and ears, or eyes and nose, or sex and urination, right? So there's sometimes they belong in more than one place, but Hahnemann said that he pretty much keeps them separate for simplicity. Okay, do we have some pictures to look at?
Yeah. Let me. Okay. Okay, this is the first one.
Yep. There we go. That is the schema, which is page 4 and 5 in my book. And the order of symptoms are as follows. Vertigo. Vertigo is a, under what heading is vertigo? Sensorium. So we have, the list starts with the sensory symptoms, not necessarily the mind symptoms.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have vertigo. Confusion. Deficient mental power. Loss of memory. Headache, internal, external. You separate the internal from the external in the proving data. The forehead and then the hair. Face in general. Vultus. What does the word vultus
What is
mean?
Voltus? What is Voltus?
Latin word. What does it mean? Anybody know?
I'll check. A facial expression, look, countenance.
Okay, facial expression.
Yeah.
And then we have eyes in sight, visus. And that would be the vision.
Yeah, most probably.
Yeah, vision. Hearing, ears, and the maxillary joint. So that would be along with ears and hearing. Then we go to nose and smell. The lips, the chin, the lower jaw, and the submaxillary glands below the jaw, and the teeth, and the tongue, including impediments of speech. So Hahnemann is putting impediments of speech not only in mind, but also in tongue. Because sometimes impediments of speech are due to the tongue itself, and sometimes it's due to a neurological problem, which then should be in a higher category. Then we have saliva, internal throat, right? And then we have like the esophagus and the tonsils and the drainage and the eustachian tubes, right? And then how things taste. Oh, we lost our picture. Then how things taste. Like, okay, it can be like a very, very important rubric. You know, do things taste bitter? Do they taste salty? I mean, how many times have you been sick where you've said, my food doesn't taste right? Or like during a fever, having like a bad taste in the mouth. Then we have irritation, you know, burping, heartburn, hiccups, then nausea and vomiting, and desire for food and drink, which then leads us to an asterisk. Thirst sometimes comes after hiccup, and sometimes also among the febrile symptoms. Why do we keep, what are we doing here? Okay, now we can read again. So sometimes things are arranged a little differently than we think it should be. So desire for food and drink sometimes has the thirst after the hiccups, and sometimes it's in the febrile symptoms, because that's more often when you're going to find a change in thirst is going to be during something like fever, as opposed to be somebody's general, they're thirsty or they're not. Because as homeopaths, we're looking at the change state more often than anything else. And where were we? Oh, desire for food and drink and hunger. So when there's been changes with the desire for food and drink and or the hunger, that is something that factors into symptomology. It's not uncommon for people to go off their food when they're sick, but it would be unusual if people start being hungry when they're sick, or if there's a change in the desire for food, which is I'll just add a small side note here. You know how Hahnemann says that we're supposed to regulate people's diets during treatment?
Mhm.
That's basically during chronic treatment. During acute treatment, he says that people can more or less have what they desire because their bodies are telling them what they need, which is an interesting statement considering that it was so long ago.
Mm.
Back in 1830, this was written. Are you with us, Sanjay, or are you just sitting there looking at your computer?
No, I am reading this screen share.
Okay.
This screen share is actually shared, and your video is over here. So when I look at screen share, you see I am looking aside.
Okay, because you can participate, you know. Okay, then what's next? Which area of the body is next here?
Scribiculus
So-
cordis.
And what do we have special here, Sanjay?
We have the picture showing these regions of abdomen.
Yeah, let's pull that up.
Can you see
Oh.
this?
Yeah, we're going to go through this now. Sanjay's going to explain this part to us because he is the anatomy, pathology, etc. professor.
Actually,
Oh.
Actually, you see that the abdomen being divided by these lines. And these lines are actually imaginary lines which divides the whole body vertical and horizontal.
Wait,
Huh?
these are imaginary. I have these drawn on my stomach.
Yeah.
You as well?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was the only one. Like
No,
that.
I have them too.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
Sanjay doesn't have them.
Oh, maybe just girls have it.
Maybe. Devere, do you have these on your stomach?
So you see that those vertical lines.
I wish.
Oh.
Wish mine looked like that.
Okay. You will see this two vertical lines. These are mid clavicular line. This goes from this clavicle. You will see there here is a clavicle bone. And mid of that clavicle, this line comes down straight. These two lines. And the horizontal line, above line goes from this lower part of the ribs, lowest part of the ribs, sideways you can go. And the lower line from anterior superior iliac spine, from hip bone, toppest level of hip bone, this part over here.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay.
Bone.
So these four lines divides abdomen into 9 parts.
Mhm.
And accordingly, we see left and right area. Left, the uppermost part 3 are left hypochondriac, right hypochondriac, and epigastric in the same middle. Okay, this and then the middle row, right lumbar, left lumbar, and umbilical in the center. And then lowest is right iliac. The iliac itself related to this bone, ilium bone,
Oh.
hip bone. Right iliac, left iliac, and hypogastric. Hypogastric. And we see a lot of words related in Materia Medica, hypogastrium. Right?
Mhm.
Tekwa?
Yes, yes. And epigastrium.
Yeah, epigastrium, hypogastrium. Your lumbar region you can see.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't know if there is hypochondriac region, but in other Materia Medica, you will see like boric Materia Medica, you will see hypochondriac region also.
Yep,
This,
generally speaking, we see
yeah,
these.
you will see in this figure, you will see organs also, names of organs also given there. And these names of organs actually, this is a location of that organs in the body. Right hypochondriac, you will see liver, gallbladder, right kidney, part of right kidney, and actually here it is written small intestine. By its mistake, I think it is a what you call right flexure, hepatic flexure of colon. Where hepatic flexure means it is a turn attachment of colon. Colon has 3 parts: ascending, transverse, and descending colon. Where ascending and transverse colon meet, that turn is attached to a liver, and that part is called hepatic flexure. The corner of large intestine.
Okay.
You will see in the picture In right hypochondriac region, there is a turn of large intestine. That turn is hepatic flexure. On left side, you will see splenic flexure. These two turns of large intestine. It has very much anatomical importance because it is common site which accumulates flatus, gas, which is stuck over this area lot of times. Lot of people complain when they have gas, there is pressure in the hepatic region or splenic region, right or left side. And you will see in left hypochondriac spleen, colon, left kidney, part of left kidney, and pancreas, part of pancreas. Then in epigastric region, you will have part of liver, stomach, a part of duodenum. Duodenum is the first part of small intestine. After stomach, when intestine begin, first part is duodenum, then jejunum, and then ileum. Ileum is small intestine. And then you will see it continues with large intestine. From cecum. Cecum is a balloon-like part where small intestine and large intestine meet. And from this cecum, you will see there is attachment of, not attachment, location of appendix. Appendix. I cannot point and show you where it is. Appendix is exact from when you hold this anterior superior iliac spine over here, and this is umbilicus. An imaginary line joined from umbilicus to anterior superior iliac spine. A midpoint is known as McBurney's point, and this McBurney's point is location of appendix.
And where's the corresponding point on the other side that happens to be painful in appendicitis? You have that off the top of your head? It's called something's reflex, I think.
Yeah. It's actually, it's a reflex that when you are having a acute inflammatory condition of appendix, it is actually when in acute condition, it will pain over here, McBurney's point. But when it is severe, you will have exactly opposite towards this left side. It is reflex. And this reflex, you will see it is only and what you call due to peritonitis, accompanied with peritonitis. Peritoneum, do you know peritoneum? We have words in Materia Medica Pura, peritoneum.
Yeah. But that's
It
an
is a
important point
sac.
for
It is
everybody to know.
it is a sac which are covering of all the organs and intestine of the abdomen.
Below the muscle layer, you have a sac that contains all of the internal organs.
It forms coverings of all the internal organs. Okay. You will see in right lumbar region, you will see gallbladder, then part of liver and right colon. And which colon is here? It is ascending colon on the right side. On the left side, there is a descending colon. And in the center, umbilical, a whole bunch of small intestine and location is maximum part is small intestine in the umbilical area. Whatever happen in the small intestine, you will feel the pain in this umbilical area. And then right iliac, you see cecum and appendix. In left iliac, descending colon and sigmoid colon. I think this internet image is bit weird because sigmoid colon is not, it is in the hypogastric region.
Yeah,
But you can in right iliac, you will see the lowest part of descending colon, descending colon. And in hypogastric region, urinary bladder, sigmoid colon, and then uterus, ovaries, everything in this hypogastric region.
yeah. So
Rectum
when
is
there's
there.
things in the hypogastric region, the pain there can be uterine pain, it can be bladder pain, it can be rectal pain, it can be a whole lot of different pains. But the region is still, then you go with the symptomology to tough
When
to find where it is.
you need to remember this region, and when you have a patient telling the pain in my left lumbar region, what could be the cause? Either it could be from kidney or it could be from a large intestine, descending colon, right?
Or it could just be gas. Hopefully,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Hopefully. Okay, thank you. Then, okay, we've gone through those areas. Then we have groin and the which region?
You want to share that screen again?
Yeah, we need to keep sharing that screen. We're not done there.
Okay. Okay. Where is that picture?
Anyway, well, as he's finding it, the next part is the lumbar region. And in our schema, lumbar region is sometimes placed in the back and lumbar vertebrae.
Location and name itself is from lumbar vertebrae.
Yeah, the lower back. So the lower back region. Then we have the groin. And then the what region?
Inguinal region.
Mm-hmm.
Inguinal region? Where is inguinal region?
Right above the groin, to the inside slightly. That's where a lot of people get hernias, and that's where a congenital hernia tends to be as well.
It's fold where abdomen and lower extremity begin. You will see fold. Lowest part of abdomen from this thighs begin. That corner. Lot of people come with fungal infection in the inguinal region.
Maybe he means jock itch.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just a common word in English, jock itch.
Then rectum, anus, and perineum. Perineum, new word.
It's the area
Perineum.
between the vaginal opening and the anus, or between the scrotum and the anus.
Yeah.
Like
Mm,
lots of times you'll be talking to, let's say, a woman who's heavily pregnant and she'll say she has discomfort there. Or after birth.
what is this Alvin evacuation?
Oh, yes, that one.
Al-
That is a old-fashioned word. This alvine evacuation. The word alvine means relating to intestines.
Is that mean that evacuation means relation with defecation?
Probably has something to do more with the emptying of the
Defecation,
stomach.
stools.
Uh-huh.
Because alvine means relating to the intestines.
Mhm.
Okay.
Then we have urine, bladder, urethra, genital organs, and then we get into sexual desire. Sexual desire is usually on the schema is male and then female.
Mhm.
And then sexual power, like if somebody has lost interest in sex, that is a symptom. Or if they have way too much interest in sex, that can be a symptom. So sexual power, and then that would also cover things like impotence.
Mhm.
Whether or not they have the power to maintain their sexuality.
Oh, you probably can't hear me, can you?
Now
Can
we
you hear me?
can. Now we
Oh.
can.
Okay, is it important to take sexual interest for a woman that had a high sexual interest, but then once she hit menopause, it was a lot less? I mean, isn't that more or less normal, quote unquote?
I think that a woman should maintain sexual interest well into menopause, unless she's, like 95 years old. But if there's been a sudden difference,
Actually, physiological this interest desires increase between increase after menopause in a lot of physiological.
Okay. Can I just ask something?
55 to 60 or 65. After that, it naturally reduce.
Yes, I'm talking about someone close to 60.
Yeah.
But isn't that normal to go down, or?
No, it you can consider if it little bit, it is more than how it was before. It's okay, but it shouldn't be very high. You can consider as a symptom if it is very high.
Okay.
Then
according to Hahnemann, people should maintain their sexual interest and function well into their elder years.
yeah. What is menstrual flux?
That just means the bleeding of the menstrual period.
Okay.
Oh, and we missed here emission of semen. So we have the ejaculation and we have the nocturnal emissions and any problems with ejaculation. So if there's pain with ejaculation or somebody can't ejaculate after sufficient activity, or if there are any different types of problems with ejaculation, that falls under the sexual power emission of semen part of the schema. Now back to menstrual flow. So that would be the flow, menstrual flow. Because our menstrual flow is very important symptomatically. and optimal health, periods come and go without creating much problem. There will still be a tiny bit of discomfort according to Hahnemann, little heaviness, a little fullness, but it shouldn't be debilitating or gushing or truly problematic. And then leukorrhea is its own area of expertise. Leukorrhea is not the normal self-cleaning vaginal discharge. Leukorrhea is an ailment, like a yeast infection kind of thing, or other types of discharges that are painful and hurt. Painful and hurt. Any woman can tell you. Any kind of thing that's going wrong there, painful and hurt. You got the cottage cheese type things that go on there sometimes. It's like, whoa, help me now. Am I right?
Not pleasant.
Right. Sandy is like, okay.
Next category.
Okay.
Okay, so leukorrhea is not the normal moisture, little bit of discharge that is painless and normal. And then, of course, throughout the month, the discharge changes slightly, and it is important for us, and I think important for us to teach our patients their fertility signs. I think that the knowledge of fertility signs helps women control their fertility and their days and their lives to a much better degree than, having it just be like all a mystery down there. Because, for example, when you're getting ready to ovulate, you could stick your hand inside yourself and you could take like a sample on your fingers, and the vaginal discharge, which is like from the uterus, will be like stringy. Then you know that ovulation is near. And this is an important thing, because then you know that pregnancy is possible. If it's just kind of dry and just kind of sticky and tacky, then there's no ovulation happening at that time period. So to take some time and go to some of these websites that teach fertility signs is a very important thing, I think, for us as women and for homeopaths that treat women, to help people understand their fertility signs.
Yep. Amen to that.
Okay, and then of course, we'd take into consideration anything that is outside the normal. So leukorrhea would be something that is unnormal, unnatural, painful, discolored, all the above of different things that could be problematic. Okay, where are we next? Sneezing, coryza, catarrh, and hoarseness. It's cold, flu, or allergy time. So all the things relating to the nose. Coryza can be more of like a chronic thing. Catarrh is more what they would call a cold back in the olden days. And we hear a little cough there from Sanjay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I had a great coughing fit today at the gas station. Whew, it was terrible. Because, I just had the flu. Okay, so cough. And then breathing. Things relating to cough and all the different types of coughs, reasons for coughs, etc. And then all different types of breathing difficulties. And then we come to chest. That's a bigger thing. And then there's things like chest internal and chest external, like the Bonninghausen repertory, and it stretches, stresses internal versus external, because what we feel externally on our chest is not what's going on inside our bodies. And, like there's symptoms for like itching internal. Sometimes when people have like an inflammation of the bronchial tubes will have itching that they feel inside their chest. So we want to pay attention to all these little nuances because they can help us find the right remedies needed for our patients. And, you know, we want to match that proving data to the symptoms and extinguish the disease. Heart movements, what would that be under? What are heart movements? Anybody?
Like if somebody has arrhythmia,
Good.
Palpitations,
Mhm. What else?
palpitations,
Yeah, palpitations, arrhythmias, weird sensations in the heart area.
what is palpitation?
Thump, 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 thump,
Oh.
thump, 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 thump.
It's just mean awareness of heartbeat.
But sometimes it can be very
sensation.
fast. It can be fast.
Yeah, it's awareness, and only we are and normally it shouldn't be aware. We shouldn't aware of our heartbeat functioning. We experience this when you are means extremely scared situation, fearful situation, and if you suddenly meet with some on road accident or something like that, it suddenly start beating fast, and you feel that movement of heart, and it's palpitation.
And palpitations are actually going to come into a slightly different area in our schema, as we will see. Okay, where were we?
Heart movement.
Yep, and then sacral region.
Yeah.
And the lumbar vertebrae. So we have the lower back,
Mhm.
the mid back,
Upper back
upper back, the scapula,
and
the
neck
shoulder blades.
and neck.
We have the shoulder blades, we have the nape of the neck, the back of the neck up here.
The external throat.
External throat, not internal throat. And what would we observe on the external throat?
Lumps,
And
swellings,
Goiter? No?
goiter, yeah,
it might even have acne, huh?
Yeah. Or rash or
Or problems in men with their beards,
barber's itch,
or women growing beards when they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there, I see that there is a asterisk. The external throat sometimes also comes after lower jaw. So we sometimes have to, it'll sometimes be slightly altered in the proving data. Shoulders.
Huh.
Shoulders and armpits. Excellent. So if there's problems with the shoulders, that'll be there, and problems with the armpits will be in shoulders. Then we go to the arms. This, this falls kind of, this schema falls underneath gestalt. You know the word gestalt? Is that similar to something you know in your language? The German word, like from the top to the bottom.
Gestalt is like the totality, I think, something similar to that. like looking the whole thing, like Gestalt psychology.
Right. And
Awesome.
it also like development of children, they develop from the head down. They'll gain control of, let's say, their neck first, and then their upper torso and their arms
Oh,
before their lower torso and their feet. And then the ability to walk comes last. That's also a
Oh.
gestalt. That's called
Oh.
gestalt development.
oh, that's interesting.
Okay, so we've got shoulders, armpits, arms, hands. And then of course, that'll be divided into right and left, depending on your repertory and what's there. And sometimes we just use building blocks. Hips and pelvis. Buttocks. Thighs, legs, feet.
Mm-hmm.
Then general bodily sufferings and skin affections. Corporeal means body and cutaneous means skin. So general bodily sufferings and skin affections. And then the sufferings from open air. Exhalation, temperature of the body, disposition to catch cold. These are all things that can show up in proving
Generalities.
data.
Generalities.
Yeah, generalities. Dispositions, sprains, proxims. Yeah, so for example, during approving, if somebody were to sprain their ankle while doing approving, that would go down in the proving data as a possible causation from the proving.
Oh,
It's kind of like, I remember that there was a case a long time ago of a young fellow who had broken his foot. And that fracture needed pulsatilla. There was a pulsatilla fracture, not a symphytum fracture. And it healed very, very quickly with a little pulsatilla.
mm.
So don't have fixed ideas. Throw out fixed ideas.
So what happened when he did approving and somebody, let's say, had lower back problems and the remedy aggravated it, or they took a remedy that actually made it go away? So
That's called a cured symptom. For example, we have something very funny in the provings of causticum. It says that he was able to, the prover, in every proving, it gives us information about who the prover was, right? We'll get to that later. In the proving of causticum, which is not here, it's in the chronic diseases. One of the provers says that he was able to read newspapers and have discussions without having arguments about politics. And he said, cured symptom. So yeah, sometimes people do note cured symptoms
I
of
took
their own.
Causticum and that didn't work for me.
It didn't work for you. Maybe you need a couple more doses. Or maybe that this isn't just a small thing that we're undergoing lately in our political drama, and it
Right.
has to be addressed. You know, if people are going to have little arguments about this or that small thing, it's totally different than people having arguments about there being like a worldwide system of dramatic change that is disrupting everybody's life, right? I think that might be normal. We should be awake to our, do you have a whole bunch of restrictions where you live, Ivona?
No.
You're not having corona restrictions or vaccination certificates?
Yes. However, I was never like, I like to go to work and to come home, maybe hang out a bit. And like, I haven't felt restricted in those areas as much. maybe if you want to go to the post office or the library, you need, how do you call it?
Passport. Vaccine passport.
Yeah, I guess. But it's fine. I don't feel very restricted so far. So
Good. Good to hear that.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on where people live, you know? I think that it's
Very
probably
much.
pretty-
Yeah, very much. I
Some-
guess in the west and the north, it's a bit worse, right?
Only
Yeah.
in the West it is worse.
Oh, come on, Sanjay. You can't get on a bus, you can't get on a train, you can't do anything where you live.
Really? Oh man.
In India, actually, they cannot stop, means in Maharashtra especially, they cannot stop local transport, people getting in without vaccinated. So they stop the service.
There's no more bus service?
There is no bus service.
Jesus.
That's terrible. They stopped the bus service?
Since last 1.5 months, there is no service. And the stopping service, they gave reason because the all people from that service, they were on strike. But strike also finished. It's been a month now, but they haven't started service. State transport has been stopped since 1.5 months and maybe 2 months.
Terrible.
And really, really, it is very horrible because people cannot travel even at 10 kilometers when there is no. Everybody doesn't have car or a motorcycle. Okay, now Tikva can continue.
Okay. Convulsions, paralysis, weakness, and fainting. Yawning, sleepiness, slumber.
What is
sleep.
slumber? What is slumber?
Like if you haven't waken up properly, no?
I think that word, it's Latin word. Tikva?
Is it a Latin word? I don't remember that much Latin.
What is slumber?
And it's related to sleeping.
Yeah.
Might be napping.
Or is it, can you Google?
Yeah, I think it might be.
Yona, can you Google what is slumber?
Yeah, I'm Googling, but I don't. So Merriam-Webster says it's sleep lightly, doze.
I think, yeah, it must be napping. kind of thing.
Napping, power napping.
Sleep especially lightly, doze, drowse.
It's when
Yeah.
you fall asleep in front of the television set during shooting scenes.
Or into
Yes.
meetings, into classroom.
But like the second definition, it seems to be a state of inactivity or dormancy. So
Yeah, that's true too. So we can say like when
Inactivity.
when the trees are dormant, they're slumbering, right? And we also talk about latent spora. Latent spora is slumbering
Dormant.
spora.
A dormant spora.
Dormant. Mhm. So, but I think that, it can mean napping.
Inactive
And-
state.
as opposed to a deep night sleep, which we would hope people have. Nocturnal ailments, problems in the night,
Interesting.
like bedwetting
Yay.
or night sweats. And then there's the dreams area.
Okay.
Dreams can be very important, like vivid dreams, nightmare, things like that. Oh, continuing dreams are an interesting one. There's a rubric for that in Boninghausen. You have that with you, Devera? The one for the people pick up the same dream.
Have what with Boninghausen? I didn't understand.
Oh, in the dream section, the people who fall asleep with a dream and then they dream it,
Yes.
continue it when they,
Yeah, we have that. Mhm.
yes.
What is that rubric?
You want to know what our rubric is?
Yeah.
That's my computer.
Eva, do you remember the rubric for same dream?
No, not off the top of my head. And, you know, I left my Boninghausen out in the living room.
Okay.
Okay, well, Devera's gonna look it up. Okay, then we go to anxiety, palpitation of the heart, restlessness, and trembling.
We
I
skipped
have a-
fever.
Here palpitation
Oh,
of
yes,
heart
I'm
is
sorry.
related
Thank you,
to
Ivona. I know Ivona corrected us. We forgot fever, chill, heat, perspiration.
Yes.
That's very important.
Very important. Fever stages.
Oh yeah.
Fever stages give us very important information for the remedy.
Yeah, yeah.
So if there's continued heat without any chill or perspiration in the fever, that's indicative of a certain type of ailment. And then the fever stages, those are all laid out for us as well. Fever stages are important, and fever stages are greatly enumerated upon in the fever section of Boninghausen's Therapeutic Pocketbook, which should be your friend.
Noted.
I need a new copy, mine's in shreds. Yep,
Dreams
Boninghausen,
dreams
Okay.
persistent, continuing after waking.
great, thank you.
But there's only 16 remedies there.
But when we see somebody who have that, they probably need one of those 16.
Right.
but the rubric says that dreams continues after waking. Dream
Correct.
persistent continues after waking. Does that mean that when a person is having the dream and means even after waking, he is involved with the situation. He is not in the reality.
Nope, I can tell you, I know somebody who had this. I remember a case of it. The person, it was a young fellow, young man, and he would have dreams and they were very entertaining. They were a lot of fun. And if he were to, let's say, wake up in the middle of the night and let's say get up and go to the bathroom or something, you know, then he would go back to bed and continue the same fun dream.
That's my husband.
That's your husband? So one of
Yes.
those 16 remedies. Yeah, so
Okay.
it doesn't have anything with being incoherent. It's just they pick up the same dream again and enjoy it some more. Isn't that interesting?
Mm.
You see where you can find characteristic symptoms are anywhere throughout this schema. because that is something that Devera has highly characteristic in her own husband.
He got a remedy one time. He was complaining that actually that the dreams are interfering with his life, that he feels that so he's not rested and when he wakes up because he says he's so busy at night.
Yes.
He's so busy and he has like another life going on.
Yeah.
But he enjoys the dreams because they're very fun. So, but anyway, he got a remedy and the dreams disappeared. And then he was complaining, where are my fun dreams?
Are those dreams under control now?
I think they're starting to come back. A year after the remedy, yeah. 1 year,
Okay.
not bad.
All right. So that's important. See where you can find. That is an interesting characteristic. Okay, so then we have another sign thingy. Palpitation unattended by anxiety comes in the chest. Okay, so when there's palpitation with anxiety, it's going to be near the end of the schema. And when there's palpitation that is not attended by anxiety, it's going to be higher up where we found those heart sensations. Okay. Two different areas.
Isn't the mind first in the schema? Or you're
It
talking about
is.
before he switched it around?
Yeah,
Palpitation means when attended with anxiety and when unattended with anxiety, 2 areas. When unattended, you can take symptom related to heart. And when when attended with anxiety, that comes in
In the mind?
mind.
Interesting. Oh, that's good to know.
okay, and then, yes, you remember here that in the chronic diseases that the schema has been flipped. Because in the Materia Medica Pura, disturbances of the disposition and affections of the mind. So mental state comes at the end of the chapters in the schema of Materia Medica Pura, but it comes at the beginning when we're looking at the proving data in the chronic diseases. So Hahnemann switches his schema.
Okay. End of part 2.
Oh,
Any questions?
mm.
Did you want to pull the screen back up just so people could look at the schema and get in case they had a question about it?
Okay.
Sorry.
You need a screensaver. At least some pretty flowers or something. I run Chrome.
Okay.
We didn't see anything yet.
He's hoping we'd forget.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
we're just looking at your screensaver.
which is nice.
I'm so sorry.
I don't mind it.
Actually, I share another monitor. I should have share number 1.
Oh,
Okay, now
You
I'm
have
sorry.
Alexa? It says that you have Alexa there. Do you ask
Mhm.
Alexa questions? Alexa, what remedy does the patient need?
yeah.
Okay, so the smallest possible quantity of medicine in potentized development is sufficient for this purpose. So we do the proving with the potentized medicine in the smallest quantity. We match the symptoms of the patient to the symptoms of the proving. And in order to facilitate the selection of the remedy, we use this schema. And then there's the warning. This order is not always preserved. The mental symptoms are sometimes placed at the end of the list of symptoms. The inconvenience of separating mental and emotional symptoms is tacitly acknowledged by Hahnemann as he places them together in the chronic diseases. But in 1830, they are separate.
Both hands.
How are they separate? It's the last
Yeah.
category, no?
Yeah, the last and the first, because in the first we have the sensorium. Sensorium generally comes after the mind symptoms in a more updated version. And in the chronic diseases. And when was the chronic diseases written, Sanjay? He always knows dates.
What?
When was the chronic diseases written?
Chronic disease, actually, he began at 1816 and finished, published on 1834.
Wow.
And this is just a little earlier. Somebody else is coming into the room. Who's joining us? Okay, so we have any questions?
No?
Disturbances of the disposition
And
Is-
affections of the mind.
would be
Oh, getting angry easily, not being able to make decisions, any of those kind of mental symptoms. Easily brought to
Disposition.
tears.
Mood.
Yeah, mood and disposition,
okay.
tearfulness for no reason or easily. All the different things of the change state in the mind and disposition.
Okay, got it. And we said the sensorium falls under what?
It's usually at the top. Vertigo, confusion, dizziness.
Oh,
So in the very beginning of the schema is vertigo, confusion, deficient mental power, loss of memory. And then we go to head, internal and external. So vertigo is dizziness.
okay, I understand that, but then I'm confused because I would have thought then confusion and you've mentioned something else. Well, basically, I would have thought that falls under affections of the mind.
I think in a Kant repertory, is sensorium different in a Kant repertory? Because sensorium and like mental symptoms are placed separately.
No, I understand the difference. Well, I think, but I'm just confused because after vertigo in MMP, it says confusion, and I would have just thought that falls under disturbances of the mind, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, but it's also kind of can be, yeah, it
Yeah.
does make sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, when I better think about it, I get how it could be sensorium as well, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it depends on in which way it shows,
Yeah, that's probably.
or the causes behind it too.
Mm. Yeah, but it does sound more mental to me than sensorium.
Yes, if we're looking at our Seneca, we have vertigo this, vertigo that, lots and lots of vertigo. And then symptom 10, loss of sensation and consciousness. So he did not know what was going on, is symptom 10 under our Seneca.
Loss of sensation and consciousness.
And symptom 11, she lays on the bed completely devoid of sense, muttered incomprehensible sounds, the eyes staring, cold sweat on the forehead, trembling all over the body, pulse hard, small, and quick. Then symptom 12, loss of reason, and in the external and internal senses. He did not see for many days or speak, did not hear, and understood nothing. And when one roared very loudly into his ears, he looked at those around like a drunken person wakened out of a profound sleep. That's symptom number, 10, 11, 12, and then symptom 13, delirium recurring from time to time. And then symptom 15, dimutation of memory, so impaired memory. Symptom 15, very defective memory for a long time. His memory leaves him, he is forgetful, stupid and weak in the head towards noon. When walking in the open air, giddy in the head, giddy like that means kind of like dizzy, which is increased on coming into the room, and the head is confused. So these are coming at not in the mental symptoms, but in the sensory symptoms.
Okay, I see.
And then if we go to the end of the chapter of our Seneca, we will have clearly mental symptoms. Yes. Despair of his life, irritated at the disposition, vexes himself about trifles, cannot leave off talking about the faults of others. So if you have a patient that just complains about other people all the time, you might be looking at symptom number 1042 in our Seneca.
1042. Wow.
There's a lot of symptoms in our Seneca.
Mm.
And then there's things like discomfort. He takes pleasure in nothing. Reoccurring fits of irresolution. He wishes something. And then when he attempts to gratify his wish of the merest trifle, he will alter his resolution and wishes it no longer. And that her desire is greater than her need in our Seneca. So she wants things more than what she needs. She eats and drinks more than is good for her. She walks further than she needs to do or can bear. So those are mental symptoms as opposed to incoherence and dizziness.
Okay.
Yeah, like there's a really fun symptom in bradycarb. It's preparing for a trip and then not wanting to go on the trip. And a long time ago, one of my kids made up a thing called trip reluctance disorder, TRD. And that is the exact same symptom that's in bradycarb of preparing for a trip. And then when it comes time for the trip, I think I'll stay home. So that's actually, you see how things, play out in real life.
Interesting.
Okay, so do we have any other questions, or are we all set here after looking at our schema?
Another one?
No, are we all set? Are we
Okay.
finished? We don't want to keep people here too long.
Yeah.
But this just gives our general outline, and pretty much every Materia Medica kind of follows this schema, more or less. Which makes sense. Except for those ones that are just all about stories, right? Personalities and stories are not there, but I think that, if let's say we're going to look at our Boricki, that goes head, eyes, nose, face, stomach, rectum, male, female, respiratory, sleep, fever, skin, modalities, relationships. So schema is kind of a universal homeopathic thingy.
Sweet.
Okay, Sanjay, anything to say?
I think we are done.
Okay,
Now it is feeling cold again.
Yeah.
Sanjay needs a remedy, I think, guys.
Sanjay has no heat at all.
Oh, really?
No
He
heat.
has no heat at all, none. He doesn't have
Why
a
is-
plug-in radiator or
No,
anything.
I have this small heater over here. This one, you can see. Oh, how to show?
You're doing it, you're doing it.
Okay, this.
Those
Oh.
that you get at the grocery store.
Yeah, this one.
Okay.
But that's not what he needs. And I've been telling him this for a decade. He needs one of these.
Oh, sweet.
That's what he needs.
Yeah, definitely.
You see, mine's on.
I'm looking for this radiator type.
Are you going to actually buy one? We've been
Yeah.
talking about it for 10 years.
Yeah, but availability at this place is very difficult. You know that.
Yeah, everything's
I'm
very difficult in your
living in a
place.
small town. It's
His-
not a big one. It's a
His
small town.
is so big. How many people live in your town?
My oh, you cannot calculate on the population in India.
See, this
Yeah.
is where we're gonna joke, because his town is like 10 times the size of my town.
Yeah, my place is a small place, very densely populated. Within 5 kilometers is small, like where Tikwa lives, Malot. But my population is near about 500,000.
And he calls it a small town.
My
Oh
country has
my,
less
oh
people.
my.
Wait, 500,000 or?
500,000.
He's not joking. He's not
Okay,
joking.
okay.
I've been
That's a
there.
lot.
That place is crowded.
That's a lot, yeah.
Here we've got like 25,000.
And
our city.
they have 25,000, and we are almost 10 times, 10 times or 20 times more
20 times more, yeah.
in the same region, same area.
Wow.
So very densely populated.
And the man can't buy a heater.
Man can't buy it. Actually, population itself giving a heat.
I was gonna say that the body mass heats itself.
Not too cold for the
Okay,
remedies?
I will
Wait,
close
Devera, what
this
did you say?
recording.
Wait,
Aqua?
maybe Devera had something to say that was pertinent instead
No,
of
I'm
our
just
random.
asking if the room is too cold for the remedies.
Oh,
Ah.
Because
He
I think,
has-
right, it's not supposed to be too cold or too warm.
Really?
no, it's actually not that severely cold. It isn't that cold. It's
It
less cold
isn't
than it is
very
here.
cold, but I feel cold. It's not very cold over here right now.
Yeah, and if
Let
you
me
can
check.
take on his
It's
case, I
20
will bless
degrees.
you.
20 degrees.
See,
We're
he's
still
got,
recording.
it's
It's
cold,
like
but
by
it's not,
us, Tikva, where it's colder in the house probably than outside.
it is, yeah. And
Yeah.
but he doesn't have one of these plug-in things or he does, his Mazgan is only air conditioning, not heat.
Oh, okay.
So he can't turn on his Mazgan for heat. And he doesn't have any plug-in radiators like we
No,
do.
this time I will definitely, when I travel to Pune, I will get that radiator heater.
One day.
No, definitely this year. This year, 2022.
This year. You have one
Nobody's
more day.
traveling this year.
One more day, Sanjay. Tomorrow you have to go.
No, I'm not going anywhere.
Next
It's
year.
2022.
Ah, so next year.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have to check at the end of 2021, no, at the end of 2022 to make sure you got your heater. But then I know you're gonna give the heater to somebody else. You're gonna give the heater to a different
Aw.
room. You're gonna put it in a different room and you're gonna sit there and freaking freeze like always.
No, this year I buy
Nice to
these
believe in.
heaters, 4 or 5 heaters per room. But
Oh,
actually it heats only 4 or 5 feet.
because it's a fucking, sorry, blow dryer. It's a hair dryer.
Yeah,
I will close this recording. Wait.
yeah.
I want
You don't have to.
I warned you guys.
We're only
I
a
warned you
small
guys.